Hi guys, we're on day 8 of our daily devotional. We're working our way through Psalm 91, and today we're looking at Psalm 91 and verse 6 and the first half of verse 6. And in that part there it says, "You will not be afraid of the pestilence that stalks in darkness." And this is a really relevant passage at the moment because of the things that we see going on around us with the pestilence. This is referring to sickness, to disease, to all that kind of stuff. And we see this going on at the moment. And one of the interesting things I find about this passage here is, first of all, when it talks about pestilence, this is something that we can't see, something that we can't physically do anything about ourselves. And if you think about the context of the time as well, back in those days, they didn't have the same understanding that we do about bacteria, about germs and how viruses and things like that spread. And so for them it was something that they could see going around but couldn't see the cause of. And that not only that, it's a pestilence, it's something that comes that we can't see, but in darkness as well, in a time of vulnerability, a time where we feel least able to defend ourselves and protect ourselves. This is when God's saying, you're not to be afraid of these things. And I find this is very relevant for today, that it's something that we might not be able to control, something that we might feel vulnerable against, and yet we don't have to fear this. And I'm reminded of a passage in Ephesians chapter 1. And from verse 13 it says this, it says, "In him," this is talking about Christ, "you also trusted after you heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation," or the good news of your salvation, "in whom also, having believed, you were sealed with the Holy Spirit of promise." I love this word sealed here because it always reminds me of something. If you go to a supermarket that's been vacuum packed, it's protected. There's nothing that can get into it. No elements from the air, no external forces can get inside that seal. And what we've got to imagine is that we ourselves are in that same position, that we've been sealed by the Holy Spirit. And it goes on in verse 14 to say this, "Who the Holy Spirit is the guarantee of our inheritance until the redemption of the purchased possession to the praise of his glory." And I love this idea of until the redemption of a purchased possession. Now, if you go into a supermarket and they give you vouchers when you pay for something, you are entitled to whatever that voucher says on it, and you can then go back and redeem that. Now, you don't necessarily have the thing straight away. If you've got a voucher that says 2 loaves of bread for the price of 1, you don't automatically get that as soon as you get the voucher, but you are entitled to those things. And this is exactly what this verse is saying here about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the guarantee. It's like the slip of paper that says, this is what I'm entitled to. And so I don't have to be afraid of what's going on around me because I know that I'm entitled to this salvation. I'm entitled to being sealed and protected in the Holy Spirit. That word salvation, it means so much more than to be saved from eternal damnation, to be brought into everlasting life, but it means to walk in divine health and walk in wholeness. And so when it says that we have this promise, this guarantor of this promise of salvation, we are sealed and protected up until the moment where we see the breakthrough. And I really believe that this is an important thing to remember in this time that we're in at the moment, is until we see the breakthrough in the things that's going on in the world around us, we are sealed by his word and by his Holy Spirit. So stay encouraged, stay blessed, and we'll see you again tomorrow.